yogis, it's Courtney from Grand Park. Welcome to your Yoga Ala retreat. I'm so glad that you're here today to practice and make time for yourself. Today in practice, I'd like us to focus on a concept in yoga philosophy called asteya. So asteya is one of the yamas in yoga philosophy. These are sometimes referred to as restraints or moral codes. They're basically suggested ways to interact with our external world. And yoga is a practice of noticing our patterns, our habits, how we're showing up. It is a physical practice, but there's a lot of other components to the practice as well. So I'm going to read just a couple sentences from Michelle Johnson's book, Skill in Action. And I just love the way she talks about this concept. So asteya, non-stealing, not taking more than you need or more than is freely offered. Asteya is about not stealing or taking anything that doesn't belong to us, but its focus goes beyond material possessions. Asteya looks at all levels of our being. The capitalist perpetuates the idea that more is better, that bigger is better, and that there is greater value attached to possessing more capital. Asteya challenges us to be mindful in our choices around what we consume, take, need, and desire. So I love this description, and in practice today, I'd like us to think about how we perceive what our practice should look like. So I get really annoyed when I see all the super duper yogis bent in all these funny positions. That's great if that's somebody's body and that feels really good in their body, but I'm really not interested in putting myself into a super pretzel. I'm more interested in finding ways to open my body, to explore my body, to get healthy and strong and flexible. And that shows up very differently in all our bodies. So I just want to invite us to be with ourselves today, to not request or think of this idea that a deeper bend in my knee is a better version of this pose, or forcing myself to achieve a certain pose is the goal in yoga. So the only goal that I'm asking of us today in yoga is to really own and listen to our own bodies. That doesn't mean we don't challenge ourselves or try things, but that means that we allow the practice to be what the practice is meant and intentioned for us today. And this is a very personal practice, and I really do believe that yoga is available to any body. It looks and is expressed differently in everybody's body, but I want you to really tune into yourself today, and I'll be continuing to offer some modifications and encouragements as we practice together so that we maybe achieve and do that practice of the practice being a practice for ourselves. So let's come to find our seat. So choosing a way of sitting that is right for you. So I'm sitting on the floor, but if that's not, what you need to do right now, maybe you come to sit up in a chair or sit up on your bed or a couch or wherever you are. So really choosing and owning your version of what a seat looks like. And then place your hands somewhere in contact with your body. So you could place the hands down on your thighs, up on your thighs. You could place your hands on your heart if you want to check in there. And then go ahead and either close your eyes or take a soft gaze at one point. Notice your body in space. And just checking in with how your physical form is feeling today. So every day we show up to practice and there's so many factors, right? There's how well we slept, how we're feeling emotionally, what we did the day before. Maybe we have an injury. Just noticing how your body is right now and just stepping into the truth of whatever is happening for you right now. And then we'll start to notice the breath. So how is the breath right now? So is the breath shallow? Is it getting stuck in a certain area of the body? Is it free flowing? Checking in with your mind. So is the mind here? Is the mind in a future thought, a past thought? Is the mind tired or energized? So there's no right or wrong answer. We're just checking in to know specifically where each of us as individuals are today. And then let's all go deep inside the well of our hearts. There's a lot happening in the world. How's your heart right now? Allow your heart to exist and be as it is. And then drawing your hands in a gesture of prayer over your heart, bow your chin into your chest. And I want us all to make a little vow for practice, that we're going to make the practice our own today. So we're going to be grateful for our bodies as they are, and we're going to work with our bodies as they are, not expecting them to be expressed in any positioning we've seen in a yoga magazine or maybe even in some other person's body we know, but making the practice about our own expression of what our body has to offer us today. Shall we do that? Okay, so let's come to a stand. So finding your way to a stand on your mat. If you don't have a mat, you don't need one. You could come to stand wherever you are in your space. The heels are stacked underneath the hip bones and the palms are out to the side. So we're starting in mountain pose. So this is actually a very active pose. Let's press down underneath the underneath the big toe, the pinky toe, and the heel. So there's a little slight bend in the knees, the thighs are pressing back, the heart is lifting tall, the shoulders are melting down, and the hands are open and active at the sides. We're going to come to established breath here. So imagine your entire body breathing itself, whatever that looks like for you today. So maybe that means a really slow, full inhale. Maybe standing in yourself doesn't feel great today, so maybe it's a kinder, softer inhale. Wherever you are, breathe for yourself, establish your breath, and then drawing your hands into your heart. We'll inhale to send that prayer tall to the sky. Exhale, open your elbows to the sides, almost like you're a big cactus. Send your heart like it could go through your palms as you're bending your elbows. And then exhale your hands back to the top and pull it into your heart. So we'll do that a few times. So we'll inhale, send the prayer tall to the sky. Exhale, send your heart through your palms, elbows out to the side. Send your arms tall to the sky and then bring it into your heart. One more time. Inhale the prayer tall to the sky. Exhale, send your heart through. Inhale your arms tall. And then exhale your hands to your heart. Take your hands to the side. We'll add a little bit more to here. Inhale, arms come tall to the sky. This time we fold in half with as much bend. We're listening to our own knees today. Forward fold. Inhale, lift with your heart flat back, whatever that means in your body. And then exhale, forward fold. Feet are glued to the earth. Inhale, reach your arms tall to the sky. Exhale, draw your hands to your heart. One more time like that. Inhale, arms reach tall to the sky. Exhale, fold yourself in half. Put as much bend in your knees as you need for your hamstrings. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold yourself in half. So we'll pause here in our forward fold. Let your head be soft. Let your neck be loose. And then from your forward fold, we're going to walk ourselves out to a plank. We're going to listen to ourselves, right? So this is what plank in my body looks like today. I had a good night of sleep. I'm feeling okay in my body. But maybe you place your knees down on the earth. Maybe you didn't sleep so well, or maybe your body isn't feeling, great today, or maybe there's an injury, or maybe you just don't want to have the knees up. So knees are up if you want, knees are down if you want. Belly's pulling into your spine either way. We're pressing up out of the knuckles either way. And then exhale, hips to the sky, downward facing dog. So our next little flow, we're going to come in and out of plank to down dog. We're going to do it in our own unique expression. So you could even be on your knees the whole time for this. Or inhale forward to plank. Exhale, hips to sky, downward facing dog. 2 more times. Inhale to plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale to plank, belly scooping into spine. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hands walk back towards your feet. We'll find ourselves in forward fold again. So feet are hips distance, head and your neck are soft. Maybe you grab opposite elbows. Maybe the fingertips dangle. Maybe you put a huge bend in your knees if your low back's sore, or you have tightness in the backs of the legs. Listen to yourself. You'll get better results from the yoga practice when you do that. So you'll actually find more opening if you ease into opening instead of forcing yourself into opening. So from here, pressing down into your feet, start to roll yourself up nice and slow. We're back in our Tadasana. So hands come to the sides, hearts lifted. And then next inhale, let's send the arms tall to the sky. Grab your right wrist with your left hand, ground down especially in your right foot, and we'll reach up and over to the right. So maybe you look up, maybe you look at eye level. Keep your feet glued to the earth, keep your shoulders rolling away from your ears. You can put as much bend in your elbows as you need here. Soften your jaw. Be in your own expression of this half moon pose. And then inhale back to center. We'll switch it to the other side. So we grab left wrist with right hand. We ground down especially into the left foot. Imagine you have a question. You're raising your hand and then reach that left hand up and over to the right. So a little crescent half stretch along the left side of the body here. How's your breath? We'll inhale back to center. Let your arms come down to your side. Interlace your hands. Send your interlace away from the body. Let's all put a lot of bend in our elbows to start, and then we'll see what is appropriate for us today. So we're coming into a bit of a shoulder opener. With as much bend in your elbows as you need, send your palms so that they're facing up to the sky, but the interlace is up over your head. And then maybe you start to lengthen your arms up towards the ceiling, but keep the shoulders moving away from your ears. And you'll still get a lot of benefit with bending your elbows. So we don't want to strain by extending our arms straight just to prove we can extend our arms straight. So deeper doesn't mean better. We talked about more not necessarily being better. Deeper isn't necessarily better for each of our bodies, depending on what's going on. So we listen and we respond. On your exhale, release your hands to the sides. And then let's just kind of shake the wrists out. Shake your elbows out. Maybe shake your hips. So the feet are still glued to the earth. Maybe shake your head side to side a little bit. Be gentle, just kind of loosening up. Maybe a couple little shoulder bounces. And then Tadasana, so mountain pose again. From the stability of the earth, next inhale, send your arms tall to the sky. Exhale, fold yourself in half. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold yourself in half. We're going to come into 2 more halfway lifts. Inhale, halfway lift, heart's reaching forward. You can have as much bend in your knees as you want. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, heart reaches forward. Exhale, forward fold. Let your head and your neck be soft. And then we'll walk ourselves out to plank again. So plank pose with or without your knees down on the mat. Hips to sky, downward facing dog. Let's step our right foot where the right hand is. We stay up on the ball of the back foot. So we're in our crescent pose. So the right knee is stacked over the right ankle. The left knee is up for now. We might set the left knee down when we gain some information. So arms come to the sides like wings, pressing down into your feet. Rise yourself up. If the low back doesn't like this, please bend your back knee. If this is too much, you can place your left knee down on the earth. So still reaching the arms up, still reaching the heart up. Find your version of crescent lunge. So knee up, knee down. You can always pad the knee if you need. Reach your heart tall to the sky wherever you are. And then exhale, the hands are going to come down inside the right foot. If the left knee is still up, tap it down, release the top of your left foot. Walk your right foot way out to the right. We're in our lizard pose. So the hands are inside the right foot. We'll take the left knee back a little bit just so we're not on the kneecap. And for most of us, we'll feel a pretty big stretch in the upper left hip. So if you do, please stay here. So I already feel a lot of stretch here, so I'm not going to come down into a deeper expression of this pose. Some people have a lot more space in their upper left hip, or maybe today you have a lot more space. You could come down to your elbows as long as the right knee stays stacked over the right ankle. And for those of you who need and want even more stretch, listen to your body, please. These are all suggestions. You could pull the back foot, your left foot, in towards your bum and grab your left foot with your right hand. So that's going to amplify the stretch again. So you find your version of stretch today. So we want to find a place that we can breathe in and soften and open in, wherever that place is for you. So wherever you are, breathe. If you notice that breath is becoming challenging because you took a deeper expression, you can always back it off a little bit. So listen to your body as it is now, not expecting or wanting it to be bigger and better or deeper. So wherever you are, the right hand comes out, release your back foot if you have the back foot. Tuck your back toes, hand comes outside the right foot, and we'll step back, downward facing dog. So all that on the other side. Look at your hand, step your left foot where your left hand is. Put as much bend in your back knee as you need. The left knee is stacked over the left ankle, and then we'll find our way up to crescent lunge. Maybe we put a big bend in the back knee. Maybe we set that right knee all the way down to the mat. Maybe we pad the right knee with a blanket or with the mat by doubling it up. So find your full expression of crescent pose. Own your beautiful expression of whatever your crescent pose looks like. And then let's all take our hands down inside the left foot. If the right knee is not already tapped down, please tap it down. Release your back foot. Come back so that you're not right on top of your right kneecap. Left foot can walk out as much as feels good or comfortable. The left knee is stacked over the left ankle, and we'll find some breaths here before we decide if a deeper pose is correct and right for us today. So it might be, it might not be. So if you're already feeling a lot of stretch in your upper right hip, please stay. If you'd like to explore a deeper version, because you do have more space, you could come down to your elbows, or you could take that version where you kick the back right foot into the body and grab the foot with the left hand. Wherever you are, make sure it's a place where you can take full expressive breaths and you can open and soften with breath. If you have the back foot, go ahead and release the back foot. If you're down on forearms, come on up to your hands and then tuck your back toes. Take your left hand outside your left foot and find your way back to downward facing dog. So from here, we'll walk the hands back to the feet, finding our way to our forward fold. Let your head and your neck be really soft. Put as much bend in your knees as your hamstrings or your low back is asking for. And then from here, we're going to add a shoulder opener. We're going to listen, right? That's our theme. We're listening to our body and doing the poses that are expressive for our bodies today. So we interlace the hands. There's a bend in the elbows. Our head is nice and soft and loose here. We're bending our knees as much as we need. And then listening to ourselves, we'll start to send the arms up and overhead, maybe straightening the arms if that's okay for the shoulders, or you put some bend in your elbows. Wherever you are, the shoulders are coming away from the ears. So even if there's bend in the elbows, watch and make sure the shoulders aren't scrunching up. So send the shoulders away even with bend in the arms or the arms are up and overhead. Find a couple full breaths wherever you are. Soften something, and if it's not happening, back off a little bit, please. If you have the interlace, gently, without slingshotting the arms, release your hands, and then rolling up, stacking each part of your spine on itself. Head and shoulders are the last thing to get there. Really nice. So let's find our tree pose balance. I know I always say let's listen and take it slow, but let's really find our expression of tree pose. So just like there's many different looking trees in a forest, let's all be our own unique individual tree. So I say it a lot, but if balance is not always your friend, maybe you come to find yourself close to a wall so that you can use the help of the wall. All right, so we're gonna build it nice and slow. Hands come to our hips just to kind of ground down. Think of everything hugging into center. We'll start by grounding down into the left standing leg. So this is our trunk. So imagine you had roots shooting down from the left foot. And then only and if only that left leg feels nice and stable, start to lift the right foot like a kickstand against the left ankle. So the shoulders are melting down, the heart is lifting tall. So this is tree pose. If this is wobbly, we come to place the left hand on a wall. Let's settle into the breath here. So find a drishti, so a gaze point, so something that's not moving. Let your eyes focus intently on that point. Feel your standing legs supporting you. So that left leg, even if it's wobbly, ground it down. Remember, trees kind of bow and bend in the breeze. And then option to stay here. We're already in tree. If you want to explore a deeper version, if you want to challenge balance a little bit today, maybe you take your foot to the calf. If you have the foot on the calf, think about pressing the calf into the foot as much as you're pressing the foot into the calf, so we get that feeling of everything hugging to center. If you learn that wasn't right for you, you take your foot back down to your ankle or you put your hand on the wall. If balance is feeling really good today and you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, only if it's right do we take the foot into the inner thigh. We press the inner thigh into the foot as much as we're pressing foot into inner thigh. We're grounding down into that standing leg. And then let's all find our own unique expression with the hands. So maybe the hands stay at the hip, maybe you have one hand at the wall and one hand out to the other side. Maybe you grow your branches, or maybe you have like little stubby branches today, or maybe you're a scary tree, maybe you're a big tall pine tree. See if you can allow the expression of your tree to be an expression of what's in your heart. So let yourself be in how you're feeling. Let that show up in the way you're posturing your arms, and let yourself really stand and own however you're feeling. So it's okay, even if we don't feel great, sometimes just admitting and being in the truth of that helps to allow things to settle so that we can have the freedom to be in the truth of things. Take a couple more really big breaths into wherever you are, your own unique position of tree. I wish I could see you all and see the beautiful forest we're creating together. And then from here, on your exhale, gently release out of the shape. Let's shake out that left foot, just get some blood in it. And then we'll come back to standing in Tadasana, so mountain pose. And then we'll start to ground down into our standing right leg. So pressing down, especially below the big toe, the pinky toe, and the heel. Imagine roots growing down to the center of the earth. Hands come to your hips. And from the stability of your standing foot and your leg, take your left foot to your left foot to your right ankle. And just see what's going on this side. So it might be a totally different experience than the other side. Can you be in the moment of this side? So maybe you take your right hand to a wall. Maybe you're not thinking this is challenging at all, and you take that left foot to the calf of the right leg. Maybe you take that left foot into the inner thigh of the right leg. If you're pressing the foot into the leg, same thing, press the leg into the foot. Everything's hugging to center, and that standing right foot is grounding down. So let's all find our unique position of our hands on this side. So maybe it's one hand on the wall and one hand up. Maybe the hands are at the heart. Maybe you imagine that you have a little pointed pine tree, or maybe you're a maple tree. So let this be a playful expression of how you're feeling, even if it's not great. Breathe into the truth. Let yourself be that beautiful, unique tree. Let yourself express this yoga pose as it is expressed in your body today. Take a couple big, beautiful breaths into whatever shape your tree is in today. And then we'll exhale to release out of it. And let's find our way to a wall or a door, a closet, something where you have space that you can take your legs up. So this is an inversion. This is a really nice way to re-oxygenate the body, to reset the mind. I love doing this pose before bed. It's a really nice way to just kind of clear out the day. So we'll do this as a transition to our floor work. So find yourself in a space where you can have the space above you. There's not, something hanging there. Doors work really well for that reason, as long as no one's coming through the door. So it doesn't matter which side you're on, left or right. Imagine that we're gonna take a nap on the wall. So the hip is into the wall, the shoulders into the wall. Come down to your elbows, and you might have to scoot your hips a little farther forward, and still make sure you're tucked into the wall. So the right shoulder I'm doing my right side, the right shoulder and the right hip are against the wall. And then in a very fancy move, you'll take the feet up the wall so that you're in an L pose. And we really want the bum to be as close to the wall as possible. So instead of, if your bum is way far from the wall, try to reset the pose instead of scooting into the wall. That can cause it's just all that shimmying is maybe not the best thing for our shoulders. So if you didn't get close to the wall, try again to tuck yourself in as close as you can. Come down to your elbows, make sure you're as close to the wall as possible, and then send your legs up. So here we are in inversion. And listen to the backs of the legs here. So you can bend in your knees if it doesn't feel good to have your legs up. And then find a posturing with the hands that feels comfortable. So I like to put my hands on the body sometimes. Sometimes I like to spread my arms wide to the side. Soften your gaze or close your eyes. And see if you can really settle into inside yourself. So settling into your breath. Settling into the way this pose feels in your body. we're going to be here for another couple minutes. It's normal to feel tingles in your legs. If it gets to be too much or it just doesn't feel right, please listen to yourself, and you'll bend your knees and you'll take your feet where your knees just were. And then whenever you feel ready, you can rejoin us. If it feels great, you're welcome to stay up the whole time. But please take breaks if there's a sensation that is making you feel like this isn't the right thing to be doing. And then anytime you might notice your mind running away, see if you can bring your awareness back to your body in this shape. So what does it feel like? How is the breath moving in it? Maybe what you can soften here. That's always a good way to check in with a posture. How can I soften here? It's a nice thing for life too, right? Like, how can I soften this conversation by my reactions? So from here, we're going to come to our hip stretch at the wall today. So we'll need to, send your feet down to where your knees just were. And you'll need to kind of push yourself away from the wall a little bit. So you don't want your bum directly on the wall. And then from here, take your left foot up a little bit from your knee, just to start. So we're all going to be a little different. We're going to listen just like we are. Lift your right foot up to the sky, and then press your left foot into the wall to cross your right ankle over your left thigh, and then send your hips back down. So we're coming to figure 4 stretch at the wall. We usually do this on our back. And then we'll listen here. So the more you have your foot up the wall, the less intense the stretch will be. The more you bend your knee, the more intense the stretch will be. So listen to yourself and find that positioning where you feel like you're getting an opening, but you can freely breathe. We want a little flex in the right foot. And we'll just be here for a minute or so, breathing and opening into our outer right hip. So notice maybe you've taken it a little deeper than is allowing breath to flow. If that's happening, maybe take your foot slightly up the wall just to create a little more space for your hip and for breath. Or if you're not noticing any stretch, maybe you take the foot down a little bit. So take a couple more deep breaths wherever you are. And then just like we got into it, press your left foot into the wall to lift your hips to release your right foot back to the wall. So let's take our right foot up the wall just a little bit, just in case we don't have a lot of space on the other side. We'll see how it goes. And then we'll press the right foot into the wall to lift our hips up enough to slide the left ankle across your right thigh. And we'll listen to this side. So our hips can be very different depending on the day. So see here where you need to take your right foot. So if you don't have a lot of mobility in your left hip today, take your right foot way up the wall. If you want to create and amplify the stretch, put more bend in your right foot. Put a little bit of flex in your left foot to protect your knee. And then here we'll just check in, we'll listen to our breath. If it's flowing okay, even if there's discomfort, you're probably in the right spot. If you're withholding breath, maybe you take that right foot up a little bit. Or if you need more stretch, you take the right foot down a little bit. We'll be here for about a minute on this side. So really working with the breath as a vehicle to commit to the shape and to release tension from the shape. So our inhales we commit, and our exhales we release. Or that's the intention. So just a little bit longer on this side. On your next inhale, press into your right foot to lift your hips, to take your left foot back to the wall. And then we'll all roll over to one side. I think for most of us, it'll be our left side. Place your left forearm underneath your left cheek. And then pressing down into your right hand, lift yourself up. And we're going to take a seated meditation, but first we'll get into our necks a little bit. So if you want to come to sit up on a chair, you can. If you want to place something underneath your seat, you can. We'll get into the neck just to open and release tension in our neck first. So ground the sit bones down wherever you are. Bow your chin into your chest. And then take your left ear to your left shoulder. So we're opening up in the right side of the neck. This is maybe enough. So listen to yourself. If this is enough stretch, you breathe some breaths into the right side of your neck. If you'd like a little more, maybe you walk your right fingertips out. If you need a little more, you take your left hand to your right temple and maybe some gentle pressure. So listen to yourself. So it's going to be a different version for us every day. Find a place where you can breathe fully and softly open and move through some discomfort in your neck. On your exhale, take your chin into your chest. And then inhale, the right ear comes to the right shoulder. And then we'll listen and check in on this side. So maybe we stay here. Maybe we walk those left fingertips out. Maybe we take the right hand to the left temple just to create a little bit more opposition. So listen to what your body is asking and needing of you today. The better we can get in the practice of listening and taking care of ourselves, it opens up so many more possibilities in our practice. So many more possibilities than like achieving what we think a yoga pose should look like. Inhale your chin into your chest. Let's find our little interlace. And we're going to experiment with placing a little bit of pressure on the back of our head, keeping our shoulders rolling down away from our ears. Now, if that's like way too much for the shoulders and the neck, then just tuck the chin into the chest. If it feels pretty good, maybe place a little bit more pressure there. Keep those shoulders rolling down away from your ears. And then we'll inhale to lift ourselves up. One last little heart opener. So this is a gentle heart opener. So you're going to take your hands behind you like you were going to lean back so the fingertips are away. And sending the shoulders away from your ears, puff up your chest. So maybe even pressing into your palms, into your fingers a little bit. Keep those shoulders away from your ears. Big spread of your heart. And then exhale, come back to seated. So we're going to come into a little bit of meditation. So go ahead and either close your eyes or take a soft gaze. Allow your body to really make contact with earth. So if you're sitting up in a chair, really allow your feet to ground down. If you're sitting on the mat or a blanket, allow your sit bones to ground down. And then from that grounding down, grow your heart tall to the ceiling or the sky, shoulders away from your ears. So we have a nice tall spine. Focus your awareness on your breath. So notice where the breath, no matter how small, where the breath creates movement or space in the body. And then maybe see if there's any more room to allow more breath and space in the body. Maybe a little more breath and space in the body. And then from here, just checking in, is there anything you can soften in your seat? So maybe it's the jaw, maybe it's your palms, your shoulders, your neck. Maybe by softening, more breath is able to flow through. And then I invite us all to stay here for a minute of quiet meditation. So we'll just continue to focus our awareness on the breath. If you really like Shavasana and you'd like to lay flat, you may take that full position now. So either Shavasana or 1 minute of seated meditation here. If you're in your Shavasana, slowly starting to move, gradually finding your way to a seat with the rest of us. And then if you're in seated, starting to soften your eyes open if they're closed. Starting to bring back the rest of the room or your space wherever you are. And then drawing your hands in a gesture of prayer, bowing your chin into your chest. And maybe if you want to practice this idea of asteya in real life, maybe you just notice and appreciate what you do have. Maybe you're not so focused on, obtaining or having or gaining. Maybe we do a little bit better of just allowing ourselves to be, allowing other people to be as they are. So just creating space for our own expression of life. I'm so glad that you are all here today. The light in me acknowledges the light in your beautiful heart. Namaste. Thank you, yogis. Thank you, Grand Park. I hope you're all staying healthy and well. I'm sending all my love to you wherever you are. Bye-bye.